So Ed, how are you adjusting? How are you adjusting, Ed?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. The hard time is to find time to work on the shop. That's the hardest time I have, because the schedule for Lockheed Martin are 10-hour days, so 4-10 work week. So I do get Friday off, but they have me working overtime now, so there is no Friday off. So I'm doing 7-day work weeks right now. So it's just finding time, unpacking. By the way, Lockheed Martin, they sent a crew to pack 14 submarines and models. They put them in crates. They did such a beautiful pack. They put tilt indicators on the left and the right. The shipping company put all the submarines with this end up. They put them all vertical. So they traveled 1,600 miles, either bow or stern down, with like 7 or 8 pound batteries in them. Somehow,
you got to take all that gear out of them before you transport.
I thought they were going to do what they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
But everything survived. I mean, all the tilt indicators were blown. Said,
yeah.
Do not, they were. So, and originally I was going to bring them in the RV with me. But when they said, no, we pack them professionally, and they pack them great, they survived. But the shipping crew, a separate company, inverted them all.
Yeah, you never know who's in that loop. You never know who's in that loop.
Exactly. To
So
get room.
That being said, was there any damage?
No. A minor thing, like a battery shifted out of the holder, slightly, but no damage. No damage. There's one other thing down here. Seems like everybody wants to run fast boats or scale warship war.
Yeah,
the
BBs.
ones that shoot the beams at each other.
That's 100% true. I've been looking down here too, Ed. Same thing.
So I don't know. I'm kind of worried about finding a place to run. And the pool ain't that big unless I do 3 turns, 3-point turns. I'll win awards for maneuvering. That's not it. But yeah, that's the thing, Bob. Where are we going to find a place to run?
Well, there's Lake Woodland, which is like 12 minutes away from my place. So there's always that.
Like I said, I think it's about 4 hours between us, 3.5 to 4. I would do
it can't be that long. Now you're gonna make me look.
Yeah, I was trying to find something between us, and I don't know, but do you know of anybody in the DiveTribe or anything? Is that list populated with anybody in Texas besides you and me?
That's another really good question. I haven't had a chance to look yet. There. What's your neighborhood there, Ed?
It sounds like someplace out of Middle Earth. It's called Midlothian.
Midlothian, Texas. That does sound very Tolkien-ish.
Right next to Mirkwood to the east, and I got the Misty Mountains over there. So
yeah, you're 3 hours away.
Okay, that's not bad. I do that every other month, easy. Plus, the Admiral did authorize the purchase of the Airstream base camp, which is a nice mod, because the back door opens up so you can fit long models into it. So I could come spend overnight easy.
Nice. Well, what I'm thinking, we got to find a lake near you, and I'll just chuck my boats in the back of the plane, and you'll be 30 minutes away.
The airport is 5 minutes up the road.
There
They
you
fly
go.
over the house all the time.
Nice.
It's great here. Oh, the other adjustment was a tornado warning last night or the other night. That's
Oh,
not-
really?
Yeah. When that big red strip goes over your house. Hurricanes, I'm used to hurricanes. It's a long, drawn out event, you know, maybe 100-mile-an-hour, but this thing coming by with 300-mile-an-hour winds, I'm not sure I'm going to be comfortable with. Brick
Those come out
house.
of the blue. Grew up in Ohio. Those things come out of the blue.
Woo.
My company that I was working for had an F4 tornado go right through the middle of their manufacturing facility.
Nasty.
Yep.
So how is everybody? So the event went great, huh? I tell you, it's phenomenal, the video. I am.
Yeah,
So
you know,
angry.
first off, I'm super excited. There's like 18 people on the call. This is just what we need to do. I'm just gonna like not have DiveTribe for a long time, and so we get all this like backlog of desire for people to come and talk about boats. But yeah, and I mean, obviously, other people who attended can chime in. But I had a great time. I don't know that I was as well prepared for this one as I was last year, just because of, you know, a lot of things I got going on. But I think it went well, and we got some really cool footage of and you saw it in that video of these like swarms of submarines from the drone, and you can just see them maneuvering. It was so cool to see.
That was, if that video alone is, it can be used as a recruiting tool.
Well,
I
you
mean-
haven't seen the stuff that like Dave managed to get, like with his towed camera.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we've got some pretty prime stuff in there. It's going to take a long time. I'd be willing to bet I've got 10 hours of footage to try and whittle down to something that's, you know, to something somebody would be willing to sit and watch through.
Bob, I got a question concerning that footage. Did everything on the SD cards I sent you, were you able to read them?
So you, I believe, gave some of your footage to Tom, I
He
think.
copied those SD cards while I was there.
Yep. And so he gave that actually to the AV guys, and the AV guys put it on my hard drive. So I've got both your cards and the hard drive. Yeah. And that's back in Texas. I'm in Florida right now. I'm at, you can't see because I've got the video going in the background. I'm at my mother-in-law's house. So in case anybody cares, so what's going on in my life right now, I've been here for like 4 or 5 days now. The shop is all packed up. Jason can attest to that. We've got like maybe 4 or 5 more boxes to pack, and it's good. It's getting picked up Friday. It'll get trucked to Texas and then dropped off at the new shop, hopefully Monday-ish, something like that. And then we're going to start picking at setting the new shop up. Officially, I get the new shop November 1st, but they're letting me in to start setting the shop side up early. So I'm super stoked about that. But I'm living in my mother-in-law's house, which is sold, and the new owners take possession on Friday. So I'm drinking, this is how bad things are. I'm drinking whiskey out of a plastic buy bottle right now. And we have no glasses, we have no cutlery. I have a Domino's pizza box beside me as a plate, and this is going to be our life for like the next 3 days until we get home.
So you're a squatter.
A squatter, yeah, exactly. I'm happy that this chapter of our life is coming to an end. You know, we've kind of been tethered to Florida a little bit. Not that I have anything against Florida, but I'm anxious to just kind of like commit to Texas and not have to go anywhere. I've owned our new house for like a month now, and I've only spent less than a week there.
Oh, Bob, I sent you all the video that I took with my camcorder, and the Postal Service kindly returned it to me today. So I sent it back out. You should get mine by the end of the week.
Nice. Yep. It's going to be one of the first things I start playing with when I get back. So
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that wakes up at like 4 a.m. and I can't do anything except be very, very quiet in the computer room. So I'll start puttering around with trying to, distill all of that amazing footage down into something that people are willing to. And this is actually, I wanted to bounce this idea off of you. So it's one thing to have, like, let's say it's an hour's worth of footage, right? But it's just submarines driving around. What would you guys think if I were to distill it down and then bring it here to DiveTribe, and we'll let the DiveTribe, we'll just have a running commentary so people can talk about what we're seeing and, all of this. So we'd have a little bit of a commentary going in the background.
Like ridiculousness.
Ridiculousness, exactly. Because submarines are not super loud, or, there's no like big exhaust to make things high adrenaline. It's just a lot of bubbles. So maybe it would be good for, for example, Dave could say, oh yeah, this is the toad, photo behind the blue back. I can't even remember what you were towing behind it, but at least, we can identify the various boats, and we can have a running commentary. I love that one thread on the forums when you were talking about like identification numbers. Like, they would be so cool just to talk about all this like verbal diarrhea as we're looking at boats, going across the screen. I think it would be really cool to have a bunch of experts just kind of talking about the event and the submarines and what it's like to operate them. I think it'd be really cool.
How come Mystery Science Theater 3000 just flashed in my head?
That would be awesome. I should do a little silhouette on the bottom with all of our heads.
Yes.
Three
Guys,
pointy heads in the audience.
That'd be awesome.
with all the fun comments too, not just the straight stuff. You need some.
No,
It'd be hard to
exactly.
keep it clean though.
I have two questions about the video. Is it possible, and one of these is for Dave, actually I'll ask David. David, is it the little Toad camera that you have, is it possible to get something like that?
Commercially, no. I got that from Andy Lawrence, who was kind enough to build one up for me. He's never gone commercial with it, but I did. Ellie and I, 12 years ago, produced an equivalent case that you can use with the 808 camera, but sales were poor and just never went anywhere. The bottom line is, yeah, I can make them available again, but I'm retired. Where the hell were you guys when I was making money?
You know what would actually not be, shush, Gracie. I think what would be actually cool, we'll hop on Amazon. There's these ion waterproof cameras. And, they're heavy, but if we were to come up with, the correct amount of foam just to strap to the sides of them, and then, put the little fins on the back, you would literally just tie it with fishing line to the back of your boat and tow it behind. And in theory, it would be a self-contained high definition video camera that you could just tow behind your boat and download when you get back. And all it would take is rigging up the fins. And I love Andy's or David's solution with that circular,
Yeah, that's mine. Andy produced the body, but I'm the one who turned it into a tow body, or I could strap it atop a model. And some of those shots were that.
And I've used that ion on deck. I've never tried towing. I was too nervous to foul the props with the line, but
that's a concern.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would be really cool and easy to do. So maybe I'll make that a project when I get the shop up and going.
Good.
I have an idea for something that I ran by Tom after Subfest, and I've had this idea for a while. I want to build a Springer tug, and on the front of the tug between the two push things, I want to have something that goes up and down that I can put my GoPro on that'll go 3 or so inches above the water and go 9 inches or so down and control where the camera is situated by a channel or something like that.
Nice.
I don't have anything I'm not going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 like Steve and Nathan have on their fancy little ROV there, you know. So I mean, all I can come up with is, you know, something that I can build like a Springer tug and have this camera go up and down below
That
the
would
water.
be a perfect
you know?
platform.
It would, and actually that ion camera, again, it would literally just bolt right on to whatever it is you want to use as a frame.
Right.
So yeah, and they're like, those cameras are like $60. They're super cheap, and it's high definition, and they're waterproof to, I think, 10 feet. So they'd be perfect for this application.
Right. My other question was, with all the video that you have, with what David took, I took, Tom took, and I don't know about your videographers, is it possible? I have a website for what I do with the surface boats and the submarines that I'm building. I'm nowhere near populating that yet because it's just a lot of work to do. Besides, I want to spend time building the boats. I'd like to get hold of the video of whatever video there is of the Marlin that I have, and incorporate that into on my YouTube channel. So I know that you're busy doing things and you probably got all the video. Is it possible at some point in time down the line to get copies of whatever?
You know what? This is what I would probably say. Maybe what I'll do, I'll put all of this collective video on like a Google Drive. And if you're a DiveTribe member, you'll have access to it.
Right.
Because my overarching idea behind this was that I'm going to create, a summary video for Subfest. But, for those of you who attended, maybe that'll be free. But for everybody who didn't, and you want to, enjoy the awesomeness that it was, there'll be a nominal fee to be able to download it. And I don't know the logistics behind that, but I think as DiveTribe members, you can have access to all the raw photos, all the raw video, and you can wade through it and do whatever you want with it.
All for that.
What about, and it might be easier technically, Bob, to create a DiveTribe on Patreon.
Okay.
And then you're able to link the members. Patreon would be less ads. You're not going to get revenue from ads because it's really for creators who want to make money directly from the people. So you would make this Patreon DiveTribe. That's where that guy Aaron Amick streams from. So you could charge people off the street, or if you're a DiveTribe member, they get a subscription to it.
I mean, I'd have to look. I don't know. I mean, I know what Patreon is, but I've never goofed around with it. So it would be something we'd have to take a look at.
I'm thinking as an alternative, because it's kind of, I don't know if exclusive is the right word. I don't know how you could bar people from viewing YouTube content. You want to make it exclusive to members, correct?
YouTube has actually created a platform that is very much like Patreon, where you have to pay to have exclusive content. So, and I don't know if I'm going that way, but I just want to make sure that you guys, as people supporting my business, get benefit. And so I think this would be one of the ways that would be able to do it. So if you're there and you want to go through and pull all your videos for all your boats out, you'd be able to do that. It's not feasible for me to go through for whether 16 people, I think it was, and pull all of the like specific footage just for your boats, and email it out to everybody. So this might be a good solution.
Yeah, it is tough to sit there and edit a video. I mean, you could spend 6 hours working on a 10, right? You guys know.
I've done it. Yep.
Right.
It's a long time sitting at a computer.
I'm looking at 3 of you on the top row and a few of you on the bottom that take the time to do it. A nice build video or a explanation video. It takes time to do it. And it's time when you could be running or building. And if we could find a place to dump it, you know, and everybody knows it's raw footage, so. But that'd be a great idea.
All right, we're gonna make that happen then. And I'm really hoping, you know, that next year, you know, COVID's going to be behind us. I would love to see some international members come in, you know, even if they don't have boats. I would just love to talk to them about what the RC submarine community looks like in their respective areas, and, you know, get their feedback. And
At least the Canadians.
at least the Canadians. That's right. Get Dwayne Hill with his fleet of monstrous boats. Him
Ooh.
and Steve Hodges will get together just fine.
Yeah, yeah. Rest of us will just have a seat because there won't be any room in the pond.
Exactly. Steve, have you ever talked to Dwayne?
No, I have not. Not that I'm aware of anyway.
He only builds boats in 48th scale.
Really?
Yeah. And
Nice.
so that means he's got like whatever, it's like a 7-foot long Sea View, or not Sea Wolf.
Sea Wolf.
And
Yeah.
like just huge boats.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
like
did
my
the
kind of
project for
guy.
that thing, yeah.
And he scratch builds all of his watertight cylinders, and they're bulletproof. If you get the chance, Windsor Sub is his moniker on YouTube. Watch his boats in submerged trim. They are the most like rock solid, you know, steady, docile submarines you will ever see in your life. It's crazy.
You say it's called Windsor Subs?
Windsor Sub.
Windsor Sub. Okay.
Yeah, Windsor, Ontario is where that came from, but yeah.
All right.
Now here's the question. He also scratch builds the hulls, obviously.
Yes, he does.
Right. And he makes molds, right? You would think
No, he does lost
Lost
foam.
foam.
he's using lost foam.
Yep. So for those of you that don't know, little educational thing. So it's kind of how they make surfboards, if I remember correctly. But at any rate, you take a foam core, cover it with fiberglass, and then cut it, scoop the foam out, and now you've got a fiberglass shell that is in the, you know, shape of a submarine. And that's how he builds all.
Or pour gasoline in there, and then the job's done in no time.
This is true, but that would be environmentally irresponsible, and we do not subscribe to that.
I would never do that.
Nope, never.
As the pool of goo forms around Bob's feet, yeah.
Smoking lamp is out.
So the point being, those are extremely one-of-a-kind models.
Yep.
There's no chance of getting. I would love a 148 Seawolf for Virginia.
Yep.
We had the files. We could just print it.
This is true. This is true. I am like nothing but props to you for printing out a 72nd scale Typhoon. Oh my God.
Hey, man. I'm looking at the tail end of that thing. It's 12 3/4 inches wide.
Do you have it there? Show everybody the size of that thing.
Nathan's getting it here. Just a second.
The props must be like 3 inches in diameter.
At least.
Yikes.
So they're going to be, yeah, it's going to be big, 95 inches long. So anyway, that's next year's sub for Subfest. I'm trying to get my thresher done, and it's getting close.
Your thresher must be already done. You have all year now to work out missiles.
Yeah, I was going to try to ask the question, like, how would one go about doing that? Because, you know, there's water and air pressured cylinders and spring loaded. I don't know the best solutions for stuff like that. I mean, Estes rocket engines, I don't know. Trying to make something that launches like that. It seems like
I'm kind of with Dave. You know, Propel is kind of tried and true and safe. Obviously, I will say that upholder that I ended up with from Mike Martin used butane for propellant for the torpedoes.
Yeah.
Which is Propel.
Which
basically.
is the flammable Propel. Yeah,
Well,
but
yeah, it's typically a mix of methane and butane. Both. Yeah, just put a match to it and find out. But it's useful as a propellant.
But what I would suggest, what I like about that actually is rather than using a Schrader valve, you can actually use the actual like a butane filler off of like a little torch, and it's just a little nipple, a little brass nipple, so it can fit in really tiny cylinders and all of that stuff. So that's it's easy to implement from a filler standpoint. And the Schrader valves are heavy. When you got a brass body in a little 48 scale torpedo, that's a lot of weight in the nose.
I've seen somewhere where those things are available, that little valve.
Yeah.
eBay.
I
eBay.
was experimenting with both earlier this year, and I think I didn't get the performance on the torpedo I wanted from the butane, because I think the butane is only 2 atmospheres. It is
Interesting.
lower.
There's
So
a difference in pressure.
Right. It's the nozzle diameter I'm going to have to, or the standpipe diameter, right, Dave? I would have to play with.
The standpipe is big. The nozzle is the critical dimension, and typically, if you're talking a small weapon, it's about 8 thousandths.
Okay, so that diameter I was going to have to play with, and then I had to move.
Yeah,
So,
those are special order bits.
Yeah.
But going back, Steve, I would actually, if I were to play with it, I would experiment with the air water rockets. Like I think, from a safety perspective, and a performance perspective, they work really good. I've seen a guy out of Europe use those, and they blasted from submerged, up out of the water, and they worked really good. Because honestly, you don't want them to go more than 10 or 12 feet out of the water. Like you don't want 100 feet, 50 feet, even 30 or 40 feet, because it's going to end up in some grandma's eyeball, or some kid's face, or something like that. You just want it to look cool when it bursts out of the water, and then land within a 20-foot diameter so that you can recover it.
Having water in that thing also gets you a denser vehicle, which means less of a trim problem once it leaves.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yep.
Was it? I know it was the boat was 196th Ohio, Dave, many years ago. Somebody did it in Groton. It was a soda straw. The soda straw concept.
That was the doctor, the one with the ponytail.
Yes. And he effectively launched submerged, and using the missile slipped over a tube, and it used a soda straw concept.
Art Broder.
Yeah.
It used I don't know what a soda straw is. I don't know.
Yeah, as a kid, you rip one end of the sleeve of a soda straw, and then you blow a little air and it shoots off.
Okay.
Now you shoot spit wads in class with that thing.
Yeah. That's a concept I want to go with the 688 for the Tomahawk launching. But you got to do it right, because you got to watch that trim, right? If you're displacing water and then shoot this thing, now that displacement is gone.
Yep.
And the boat comes
just look what Kevin McLeod did with his Kursk.
Okay.
That is realistic. And he was using Estes motors.
Yes. One of them ended in the back of an SUV too.
That's just insanity right there. Honestly, I'm glad he got it working, and it's cool to have accomplished that, but holy cow.
Yeah. Murphy's Law is a clear and present danger in my life. I'm going to take out grandma's eye with an S.
There you go.
But he was always really cognizant of where he launched it. Like at Carmel, he would be in the middle of that big reflecting pond, 80 feet from the closest person. It would still land within 10 feet of the closest person, but still.
And he is a process guy. He never did anything on the cuff. It was
Right.
thought out, planned, and practiced.
Yep. But actually, the implementation of that is pretty simple in the grand scheme. They're all set to go. You just jam the igniter in the back, seal it with a gob of wax, and poof, away you go.
Lawsuit City.
Yep.
They were a little more controllable, maybe.
If they were more controllable, you
I mean-
want remote controlled missiles?
No,
now?
no, I mean,
Stable.
yeah. You put
His
fins
were.
on a model rocket for a reason, to make it go straight up, you know,
All
but
right, you gotta
even then, it
find that
doesn't.
video, Steve. You gotta find that video of Kevin launching, and those things were stable, and they had mid wings. These were little scale models of a, if you will, a cruise missile, a ship killer, and
Mhm.
it had stabilizers back aft where the booster would be, and it had mid set wings, which would make the thing at least astable. Yet he probably put enough ballast up in the nose, probably plutonium, to make the thing aerodynamically stable. And it was. When he launched those shots in that video, those things are straight as an arrow.
Yeah, they'd go up 50 feet easy.
Kevin McLeod,
Yes.
Yeah.
This
Same guy that
makes
does
our
all
electronics.
he does all of my electronics.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
That guy.
I've actually talked to him.
He's an FAI class scale model builder.
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy.
So his Kursk, like his masters, are what my Oscar kit is based out of. That nobody by the way, nobody has bought yet. It's
We're waiting
gorgeous.
for the 3D files, that's why.
No. This is old school fiberglass and fiberglass and resin.
I know that. I'm just saying that people are put off by actually building something.
Well, it's not, obviously it's not a cheap kit. It's so labor intensive to produce, but my God, is it beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
He's a craftsman.
That boat is such a menacing thing, on and under the water.
What size is that Seawolf you got last year at Subfest, Bob?
That was 72nd scale. Actually, I got that one sold. I just got to finish that one off. I got to drop a cylinder in it and trim it up.
I thought it would be bigger than that, but I don't
No,
know how big a Seawolf is. So
Yeah, it's like the model is like, I don't know, 4.5 feet long or something like that. It's not huge, but the
Mhm.
Seawolf is it's fat, right? It's like your boat,
the Thresher.
your Thresher. Yeah, they look big because they're so paunchy,
Yeah.
We're going to do a show and tell or what?
We should. I have absolutely nothing to show you, but
Well, I just happen to have something right here.
okay, let's do it.
All right. Anybody been following this Hunley thing I've been putting together?
I have.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, your rudder. Okay, let's see this thing, because I fought with that with the Hunley I built. And you got it figured out. You got awesome pictures. I fought binding at the extreme ends of throw.
The reason is, and of course they figured it out too.
Hey,
Right.
tilt your lamp down. It's like washing everything out. There we go.
This is the key right here.
Oh,
Moves. Okay.
You can see that in the Chapman painting. That's how careful a study that artist did when he actually examined the Hunley when it was sitting on a pier.
interesting.
Now another
Right.
feature, if I can continue with this thing, another feature, it has no stern planes.
Right.
Therefore, you need pitch control active pitch control, and I opted again for a propeller. Now, if you look at the propeller, I'll try to get the right angle on it, and then I'll pitch it up and down.
Yeah.
And that mechanism was covered in that article I've been writing.
Yep.
So I can get in there. Yeah. All right.
Now, how are you
Well-
translating rotational movement from the cylinder for that rudder?
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you do that?
All right. Get a camera on this. You're looking at the what I call the torque rod, and that's what it does. Now, the torque rod, of course, translates all the way back. Well, I couldn't be anymore. Here you go. You can see it here. See it there? Torque
Yeah,
rod. It comes
yeah.
out of the stern.
But you have a linear servo, moving forward and back. How do you translate linear motion into rotational motion?
All right, this will be a horn type of a horn operator on the torque, and then underneath I will put, and you'll see an equivalent here, what we call a bell crank.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the bell crank, which is used for the pitching mechanism.
So what he's saying is he hasn't built it yet.
Yeah, that's what he says.
But he knows what he's going to do.
You're damn right.
So maybe you know the answer to this. Why the hell did they go with such a complicated, messed up, weird ass rudder linkage?
I was trying to come up with that rationale. Now, I've written articles on the Hunley and kind of an analysis, but you have to think about the state of the art. Back then, stuffing tubes was the solution for making watertight, relatively low pressure interfaces between the water and air. They understood stuffing tubes and packing material.
Yep.
In other words, their seals were operating in rotational environments, not linear.
Right.
Now,
Yeah. Okay.
all
That
right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Now,
Rope and grease, right?
yeah, rope, if you will, flax, but rope, hemp preferably, which would be caked in wax and oil, and it would be wrapped around the shaft and the inside of the stuffing tube. And that would affect watertight seal. They understood that, they appreciated it, and I don't think that the yard that made the Hunley and the prototypes before it was that concerned about reinventing the wheel. So they said, okay, we know how to make a shaft that rotates watertight.
Interesting.
They started with that. And then it was a relatively engineering task to translate that torque into a swinging motion through that linkage you saw.
It's only like 6 parts and sliders and grommets and, and arms and
If anybody here is old enough to remember radio control when it was rudder only, I do. Our rudders were actuated using that sort of linkage.
No, I don't. You're the only person that old.
Well, screw you guys.
I still love it when you handed me a stack of CDs to play at the venue.
Oh, this is old technology, Dave. We have something new today.
I don't need any drink coasters. What are these?
You patronizing SOB.
I am old enough to remember the 8-track player in my dad's car, so I feel fortunate. That was real music back then.
Yep.
I love those memes where it's like, if you don't know the relationship between a pencil and a cassette tape, then you're not old enough.
That's how you tighten them up. That's good.
Yep. But that's great. That's totally viable. I never even thought about that. They didn't even think about linear seals. It was all rotational seals.
I'm sure there were guys, in Europe who were playing with that, but I mean, this is wartime. These are privateers. They want to get something in the water right now. And they
Yeah.
went with what was working.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. That hull that you're playing with right now, was that like a one-off scratch built?
Yeah. Yeah. What this job is not a turnkey because I don't take money for this, but it's a friend.
Yep.
And he had lost a hand somehow. So I just, offered to help him out. And that's what I'm doing here. He had secured this thing. It is a one-off. It's a GRP hull. It looks like a lost foam product. And
Gotcha.
it evidences good engineering, but poor execution.
Gotcha. And it's a little stubby too, isn't it? Like the Hunley was actually pretty long.
Yes, yeah. Proportionally, it's not correct. It looks like this was built before the guys in Charleston had released documents.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a cool boat. Randy Sanders did a great job translating them into digital files, obviously, blah blah blah. But man, does that ever build into a cool looking boat?
Yeah.
Like,
particularly that, yeah. That
yeah,
ram.
because Rob's here. Rob, you printed it bigger, didn't you? You did a bigger version of it, didn't you?
Oh,
I did. I still have to finish it.
There you go.
yeah, I've got one I'm working on. And we got printed out. I had it at the Subfest. There's only 2 mistakes on it. One thing, the rivets are way oversized and the bow's wrong. But other than that,
Yeah, the rivets were flush mounted. They didn't stand proud.
right, they're way oversized. And then they've decided that the bow that you see on it today, that was caused by erosion.
Yeah. And to be honest, Randy Sanders did come out with a correct version of that. If you are really, really anal and you need the proper version, then we can probably hook you up with the squared off nose, with the proper nose. Yep. And he was actually aware of the rivets too. Someone made him aware of the rivets, but we basically decided if someone was really upset about them, then that's what sandpaper was invented for.
I gotta get mine finished.
I built that one and God, was it beautiful. Jason can attest to that. Man, that was a beautiful boat.
Oh, I love that boat. That
Yeah.
was one of the coolest boats we ever built.
Yeah. And it was probably, God, what, like 6 feet long by the time we were done. By the time you had
Oh
that
yeah,
huge
with
bar,
the arm and
with the
everything and the
torpedo.
torpedo, yeah. It was a beautiful, beautiful boat.
Yep. All right, Jason, you're here. I'm so glad. You need to regale the group with the tales of your very first quasi RC submarine maiden voyage the other day.
Yeah, I have a surface running Gato. A few mistakes. It didn't sink, which is good. We were able to recover, but the prop fell off because we're stupid and we didn't Loctite it. And we had to go swimming a little bit, but we had to redo the couple wheel collars and this and that, but I got a couple minutes of video of it actually floating and not sinking to the bottom of the pool. So that was one of my first build. So I'm happy with it.
Put this in perspective. It's his first build like ever. Obviously, he's helped me, with these other builds like aspects, but this was kind of the first one,
I've ever built myself,
start to finish. Yeah. So
it didn't sink to the bottom of the pool, and I was able to recover it and fix any minor damages or whatnots. So I'm working on my second one, trying to figure out what my second one's going to be.
It's our mantra there. It seems like always, especially with the first builds, it's two steps forward, one back.
And one step back.
Two forward and one back. But it's progress. It's always progress.
Always progress. Yep. I know what not to do next time. It's a learning experience, and I know what to do for my next build.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So now I'm just trying to figure out what my next build is. I really love that Hunley. That build. I don't know what it was about it, but that was just the sanding and everything, the monotonous of just getting it clean and putting the arm on it and the grenade and it all coming together. That was like one of the coolest boats that I've ever been a part of, and I'm appreciative that I was be able to do that. And I'm
And like
hoping,
even without it working, God, just to
oh yeah, absolutely,
put it on the
yeah,
shelf and just look at it. It was so cool.
yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful boat, and I would love to have a really truly running submarinable, you know, and just run that perfectly underwater, and that'd be so amazing to see that.
You know, he just unknowingly brought up a good point, which would make a good poll. Okay. Take Dave. Dave has how many operational boats, right? Dave, you have a
20.
boatload. Right. Where do they reside when you're not running them? I mean,
In
the display
protective
yard-
boxes upstairs, stacked up in one of the rooms.
right. What I'm saying is, does
Michael
anybody's
Drydocks.
admiral allow them to mount them in the living room on a shelf or something? Or
I tried that once.
My
Okay.
Gato is going on the shelf in my living room because my wife says, "Yep, you built this. It's your first boat. You
That's
are
it.
allowed to put this in our living room."
That's
'Cause
what I'm
you
trying to
made
get to. Do they always live in the shop, or do people generally display them, or only their favorites? That'd be an interesting poll to see, I would think.
Oh, the answer is get rid of the woman and turn the guest bedroom into. That's what I've done.
I'm lucky enough I have a woman that says, "Okay, you could go ahead and put one, maybe two."
Mine comes with me to the shows. So
Pretty awesome.
Got
yeah,
a good deal there.
Well, here's the problem. Like I'm alluding to, I got a 96-inch 688. I got the 148 Baleo. These are big boats, so they are kind of. If I were to display all of them in the living room, that's the problem I have, especially the
It's a
larger
truly
boats.
trusting wife right there.
Yeah, I had one little nook it was behind our dining room, and it was like a rotating display. So like I would have that one spot, and I could elect which of my boats to display in that spot. Although I will say I managed to, like, the smaller ones, I managed to like push into corners, and they kind of showed up every once in a while. So
But that is true. But you got to say that Renee was a little upset when her boat's behind her in her office when she had her Zoom calls. Like, where'd the boats go? And she's like, "Well, they went somewhere else,"
yeah,
because there was point of conversation.
yeah,
Rid of the wife.
absolutely. I have to say, I the thing that flusters me the most is when people ask me what I do for a living, because what I do for a living right now is like, how do you come off not sounding like some like prepubescent boy building plastic models in his basement? You know, so I have to.
I literally got called that this weekend on Saturday, that I am one of Santa's elves and I get to build toys for adult people.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Make it a point of pride.
yeah, I absolutely. I took it with stride, and I'm like, yep, I build toys for people that have too much money, and they love them, and they keep coming back.
That begs another question. How do we had this, I had this argument with a fellow subrunner who said, well, they're toys. In essence, they're toys. And I don't know, when you tell me toy, I might as well go down to Toys R Us or wherever now, and pick up one of those little Nico. I don't consider them toys.
The answer to that will be found in reel 3 of the original Flight of the Phoenix.
Okay.
When
Okay.
Kruger defines what a model airplane is, as opposed to something you wind up and runs around on the floor in a circle.
Yeah. We build and operate functional scale replicas of historical and fictional, undersea vehicles. These this is not, these are not toys. This is an exercise in engineering and patience. It is something so much more beyond unpacking something, charging up the batteries and having fun with it.
They're not click-ons that you can just snap together and play with.
Yeah, this is it's a passion, it's an obsession. But first and foremost, this is and we've talked about this before, this is a hobby for the elite. These aren't toys. You have to be a certain kind of person to play in this pond. And if you're not, then you wish you were. And when you are, you're glad that you are. So that's all I would say to that.
I think they're just miniatures. They're models of scaled down models or replicas of
Fully
things.
functional, exactly.
A toy
They
is what you
are
buy at Walmart.
submarines.
Yeah, you buy toys at Walmart.
Well, those are submarines too. But what I think we're kind of skirting around is one defining thing about what differentiates us from the Thundering Herd. We use these. The other guys buy it. But they are toys.
They are. There's no way around it. These are not
High-end toys.
well, no, they're not
Walmart isn't.
People aren't earning a living from them. They're not something commercial. They're purely for pleasure. This is people flexing their intellectual and engineering muscles to will something into being with their own two hands and do it in one of the most challenging environments on the face of the earth. Air is fine, but to work in an environment that is constantly trying to invade every square millimeter of your model and sink it, it's not something for everyone.
Yeah, all I can say is in the year and a half that I've been in here in this business, which I had no idea was a business whatsoever. All I can say is I give 100% hands down to the creative and just the imaginative of what people can do with a model boat, whether painting or detailing or just anything like that, of just
because there's no like, oh, I want, well, there was, but like a torpedo kit, a missile kit, a periscope kit.
How creative and imaginative people can be on a boat, let alone a submarine. I didn't even really realize submarines were a thing until I got there, but just how imaginative they can get with it and have actual firing torpedoes and gas and all this other stuff. I applaud all you guys that have that creativity, because wow, I never would have even thought of that would be a thing. And you guys are winners in my books right now.
Well, you've kind of joined the ranks. You got to get an actual submerging boat, but you're halfway there now.
Well, I haven't lost my boat yet, so I'm not true submariner. So we'll get there one day.
I will add one thing to this conversation myself. I think, and it happens almost every time I leave the pond, is with the boat in hand, is an immense sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. I live for that feeling. I love running and I run them more often as I could, because I just love that sense of satisfaction that you have. It ran great today, and it's in the back of the truck.
It finally
know?
came back.
But and you know, like I'll circling back on that, there's days that you go to the pond and it breaks. It doesn't work, you know, it sinks, whatever. But you know, on the way home, your brain is already moving. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to change. This is what we're gonna do. And it just it keeps you sharp. It keeps you thinking. You know, I don't know. I do know because like every day, but you know, I can't sleep at night and I start thinking about like, how am I going to make this work? You know, how could I make this work? What am I going to do next? You know, what happened with this, you know,
And that pursues you even into the toilet.
it everywhere, and I just read recently that's a
Library.
sign of high degree of intellectualism. So I think all of us are in this group. And that's one of the marks of an RC Submariner.
My girlfriend's always asking me, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? You know, at different times of the day. And sometimes
You're smart, you don't tell her.
I'm thinking about
I
how
just-
beautiful you are is the correct answer.
Yep, I don't tell her the truth.
Beth says the same thing. I know where your head is at. I
Yep.
know where your head's at. It's not here.
But Bob, go back and write down the first part of your statement. I need a prepared answer for when I get those questions from women and friends. I got people coming over in a week because they want to see the museum here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I looked up the definition of toy, an object for a child to play with, typically a model or miniature replica of something.
Which is all of us.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll own that. Scale replica, I'll take it. It's all good. There is nothing wrong with that. But it's again, it's at a level that really most people can't comprehend, which is actually really cool. One thing,
Bob,
Tom?
you ought to cut and paste that that character from Flight of the Phoenix and put that up. That
Okay.
little speech he gives in the third reel. I think his name was Dorfman. The character's name was Dorfman.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up for sure.
Look it up and post it. You want your
Okay.
definition? There's your definition.
That has to, I bet you it's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I know it is. I found it.
I bet you.
It's up there.
I'll steal it and clip it for just that port if I have.
There you
Flight
go.
of the Phoenix, comma, Dorfman.
When it's one thing that, you know, Tom Chalfant and I'm so happy that he managed to make it out there. You know, that's a dedicated individual to come from, you know, all the way from Vegas out to Georgia in that little car with his boat. But
and he camped out in it too.
And he camped out in it too. That's dedication there. That's the level that I may not possess. But at any rate, you know, we talked about it, and you know, for the most part, we RC Submariners, you know, if we're lucky, we found a kind of a core group of people to hang out with, right, locally. But you kind of get to know them, right? And it's the same boats, you know, over and over again. These events, you know, that we have the opportunity to go to, that you have a chance to you know, travel a long ways to. Yeah, it's, you know, it's hard and it's expensive and it's a big hassle, but you know, boy, oh boy, you just get exposed to so many more, you know, ways of thinking and ways of doing. And, you know, for the most part, a lot of people will sort of fall back to the commercially available solutions. But what I love is finding people from other industries, you know, like RC airplane guys, you know, or whatever, and they build an RC submarine, but they do it totally different. And it's just so refreshing and thought-provoking to look at the solutions that they come up with. You know, for example, Mike Martin's periscope system, that's RC air retract for airplanes. That's all that was, and it was implemented in a really intuitive and thoughtful way in the model, and it worked really, really good. I was aware of it, but that really wasn't my world. I wasn't like comfortable with it, but being there and seeing that and seeing how it worked, I would totally try it. So I encourage people, if you haven't had the opportunity, you know, you will expand your intellectual and creative horizons so much further if you take that trip, than you will from perusing the forums, you know, for years. You'll learn more in those 3 days than you will for a year of picking through the forum threads.
My
With
friend
that-
Jeff, he came down from Tennessee just for the sole purpose of trying to learn more about the boat that I sold him. He wanted to know how that subdriver worked. He wanted to understand those principles and all that stuff, because he wants to go further with this, but he needs to understand that kind of that base functionality in order to do that. And yeah, we had a little issue we had to sort through on the snorkel on it. It got stuck and gummed up somehow. So we got that freed up and it started working great. And he had an absolute blast. So when he came down with the sole intention of learning.
Yep. Absolutely. If you come, actually, and that's a good, you know, point. If you come down from like an educational mindset versus I'm gonna just have fun mindset, you'll probably come away with way more.
So with
we
the
had this-
educational mindset, could we do, I don't know if it's, I'm sure it's probably been talked about before, but can we do maybe like, since you're based in Texas now, and I know we were talking to Subfest about the West Coast people like not able to get into Georgia, can we do maybe like a twice a year type of deal and like a Subfest twice a year to get the West Coast people and the East Coast people to combine together and all their ideas together to get like something worthwhile that we can do.
That's a good question,
all-
you know, and the thing that baffles me, and you guys have just like blown my brain out, you know, to come down to Subfests, you know, people driving 12 and 14 and 16 hours to come down to it, just it boggles my brain. I'm like humbled that people came down for the event driving that far. But you know, like fundamentally, it's an interesting question. You know, ideally, everybody would have an event within a, let's come up with a number, say like 4-hour drive, right, from their house. And we probably have a lot of people that would come to that. But you know, do we have one ultra event in central USA? Do we have, you know, 2 smaller events, one East Coast, one West Coast? What would be the magic formula to get the most people, you know, to an event
You already
annually?
have it, Carmel.
Yeah, well, I mean, potentially, yeah, that's up in Indiana.
Mid-America.
Yeah, if you want one national event, I'd recommend that.
So it's like the event. You're saying we should have like one main
big
event and
event.
then perhaps a bunch of like peripheral events annually, kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Region, just like the model airplane guys, a regional and then one big ass nationals.
Interesting.
Texas is in the center of the state, sort of.
It is, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the other thing you got to look at though is where's the highest concentration of RC Submariners. You know, I'd say we've got a pretty decent representation on the West Coast. It seems like there's a lot of people in California, but like Northeast, they've got a really strong community up there as well. So if you got 70% of skippers, you know, in the Northeast USA, you don't want to put an event in the Central USA, right? It wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah, usually the Canadians and New Yorkers come to Carmel. You know, it's a long ways for them.
Yeah, yep.
Maybe hold
Part of it
two or
is-
3 events a year or something.
part of it's the venue too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you got Groton too, so that's in the Northeast.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a little like, I suppose, like you could say, like slightly redundant. The only thing about Groton too is it's a little bit, it's harder to get on, the base, and there's all the prerequisite things that you need to go through. So this spur of the moment thing is removed from the arsenal. You're not going to catch people from the street, wandering in to see what all the hubbub is about. You'll catch people on the base, but not, random people come in and off the street, because obviously they wouldn't be allowed
And
to.
as we learned this year, Bob, it's going to be depending on the commanding officer, his mood, as to whether or not foreign nationals can attend.
Right.
Because the previous, that changes every 2 or 3 years. I got the impression that because I was at the tail end there, just as you were finding out the news, talking to Oliver and Ray, that the guy just got a hate to say it, but it was like he must have felt left out in the original decisions and decided, oh, I'm the commanding officer, I'm going to make this rule. That's the impression I got.
It
Like
was
I said,
arbitrary.
yeah, it was out of the blue like that.
Well, that is a liability of being on a military reservation. You have the ultimate authority there, and if he had a bad night with the wife, well, it could reflect on everything.
Well, we had him come and visit us, and see what we were about. So
He couldn't get out of there quick enough.
you think so?
With my charm and grace, yeah.
Being on the base, it makes it harder, but it also becomes a draw. Like, I would want to go there just to say I was on the submarine military base. Like, that's cool as hell.
That's true.
But it excludes, a lot of people. And again, spur of the moment and that kind of thing, that's all pulled away. And some of the funnest people that we had, ended up being people that weren't, RC skippers, RC sub skippers. The guy that guided my boat through the course, I was the only one, by the way, that did the navigation course. So I faced away, and I had a total RC sub newbie guide me through. He did a very commendable job. And I can tell Jason was literally short circuiting, because he was trying to give me orders over my CO. So I had to ignore him sometimes. But to get those kinds of people at that event is just awesome. And he was completely sold on the whole idea, and his kids are just like super stoked about it. We just got to wait for them to grow up, another 10 years, and we're going to have some awesome people in the hobby.
No,
That's the whole point of getting the younger generation into our hobby.
they're good until they're 12. Then they discover the opposite sex, and you ain't going to get them back until they're 24.
Well,
Keep
get
at
some,
it,
get
Jason.
some.
What happened?
Well, I will say submarines are very phallic in their overall shape. So maybe there's an attraction there. I don't know. Maybe we can leverage that.
Big and black and full of semen.
There's a little bit of scum line on them sometimes.
Oh, that went wrong. Okay.
It did.
And on that note,
We talked about clubs or getting younger people interested at the Subfest, and the group that we have here in New Jersey, we've been around since 1975, and Skip Acey was in our club. He lived relatively close to me, and the problem that we're seeing is, of course, not getting younger crowd, but even the people that are old, and they're all older than me, and I'm 62, nobody's building anything. You know, we're a club that we had over 100 people in the 90s. Now we're down to about 10 people, and maybe 4 people sail boats, and you know, nobody's building anything. So, you know, being with a group like this and going to Subfest Groton and seeing people actually doing things, it's like, come on, let's go, let's do stuff, you know.
Yeah, so you know, and we talked about this a little bit. So you think about the evolution of the model aircraft industry. Not that I was part of it, but from what I understand about it, it used to be when you bought a model airplane kit, you got a bunch of sheets of balsa and some templates, and you had to cut all of the bulkheads out and the stringers, and you had to lay the fabric and dope it, and you know, it took like a bajillion years to build these things. But really it's evolved, you know. So it used to be a hobby for the elite. Is this sounding familiar? It used to be a hobby for the elite, but what ended up happening obviously is, you know, bigger companies got in there like, well, how can we make it easier? How can we make it more approachable? And you started, you know, taking a look at prefab, and to the point where now, you know, you've got these what are they called? Foamies? They call them foamies. And so for like $350, you have a full, you know, RC airplane kit with everything that you need to get going. And that's a two-sided sword, because you've dumbed down the people, but you've grown the base, right? So, you know, you kind of need to decide, you know, are we just going to kind of elite ourselves to death until there's like 4 people in the US still building these boats? Or are we going to bite the bullet and just say, you know what, there's going to be an opportunity, you know, or an inevitability perhaps to make an out of the box, charge it and run it boat. And you just hope that half of a percent of those thousands and thousands of people that buy the foamy subs say, well, the foamy sub is fine, but I want the next level. And then they build that one and they like, I want the next level. So you've got the 10% elite and the 90% foamies. But in the meantime, new vendors are popping up, new innovations are popping up. So I really think that's probably going to be the need that we need to go down. And I've got some ideas. I want to reach out to a few select individuals. If we can start out by coming up with like a sub $700 turnkey boat, I think that could be a game changer, because right now we're at least double
You're
that.
gonna get to the 10% of people like me that had absolutely no idea that this was actually a hobby, let alone a job. And they're gonna be like, okay, this is cool as hell. And I want to do the next what okay, this is my first one. Okay, what's my next one? Oh, I'm gonna do a next one. I'm gonna either go bigger than this. I can do this. I can have torpedoes, or I can do this. And
Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
What we need to invent is what Skip AC started, but maybe stumbled a little bit on. We need to invent the gateway drug. We need to create the hook that people are like, this is cool, but I want more.
Bob, you have
Absolutely.
you have to look no farther than Simon Smith's Type 23.
Okay.
That's your boat.
Simon Smith's Type 23.
You want to give somebody a basic boat that they can put in, run it, and have fun. Something small, simple, and easy.
And you know, ideally upgradable. That would be ideal too.
Right.
I'm going to be the naysayer here.
Uh-oh.
Because we have seen this. Dave himself had developed a product that, you know, a good modeler can basically, as long as you can get a hold of a hull, would have a running. Then Skip came along. Then you have your Neptune, and almost ready to run RC submarine. I really think, just my opinion, after seeing this for so many years, the same discussion, I mean, I'm getting to the point where people are saying we need the younger people, like we sound like pedophiles. You know, I'm sorry. I think this is the hobby for the 40 to 50 plus crowd.
I agree with you 100%.
I'm sorry. It's up to the parent then to get their children involved. That's the first thing. The second, just from real life experience, not everybody who joined the Navy entered the silent service. It takes a real special person to do this. And I just don't think they're out there. I mean, you know, that's just my opinion. We are a small group of people who get that satisfaction I was talking about earlier. You know, I think we can try and try and try, and we're going to still end up with the 10%ers who come in. I know that because at Ram shows, when the room was so packed, you couldn't get people through there. And maybe we walked away with 20 or 30 new subcommittee members after thousands of people had walked.
Well, in today, 20 or 30 people would grow our membership by 30%.
That's true. I think that something happened overall to the hobby, all the hobbies, right? People don't build. We're answering that. But I think, trust me, I would do anything. I mean, YouTube videos, I think, you know, Jason kind of, it's the advertising, it's the getting out there. But even that, I still think we're only going to draw 10% of an crowd. It's just not for everybody. I think the day we realize
it's not for everybody, but any other young person that we can get in there besides the 40 to 50 plus, I think would be a plus for
of course,
future generations to hopefully enjoy this hobby.
Well, what in school, high school or whatever, there's nothing there. The shops are gone. So there's nothing that kids are doing hands-on.
You're not, that's not true. Every high school I know of has a 3D printer, and kids.
Well, yeah, that would catch them.
So they are doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I'd go with what Bob's saying. We're always going to be at the top of the pyramid, but come up with something simple and we have a bigger base.
That would be the way to go. If
I've got 3 friends here in Illinois that are 3D printed subs, but they've never gone beyond the hull and tried to get them operated and in the water. I think that's what we need right now.
And honestly,
simple.
Absolutely.
And the key, and I've discovered it, and we need to work collectively as a group, and I need to be more intentional about this as well. You know, I do a lot of, you know, like customer builds, and honestly, I talked to Dave about this. He's like, this is not what our hobby needs. I don't need to build a boat for one person. I need to build one boat that will help 100 people. So I need to do a front to back build for a 3D printed hull, step by step, walk through, do this, do this, do this, and at the end you've got an RC submarine. For the few times that I've had the opportunity to do that, that specific boat, all of a sudden the sales skyrocket, because everybody is like, I can do that. I can take your video and I can follow through step by step by step, and I can build a fully operational boat at the end of it. So, you know, and I'm not the only person that can do this. Anybody here can do this.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
But what I'm saying is not just build it, but I'm saying communicate the process, you know, walk through how you do it and make it less intimidating, because this is an intimidating hobby. It is a massively intimidating hobby, you know, and we've done a great job about this whole elitism, super expensive, not for everybody thing. And we need to retain that a little bit, but you know, if we can create the step-by-step process, will hook more people. And maybe it's with beginner boats, right? Because we'll never get every boat, every kit, every combination, every feature, but that core, you know, this is what you need to do to build a functional submarine. Boom, you got your first submarine, and now all of a sudden it's demystified. It's not so crazy, you know. It's like, oh, ballast.
Very plausible.
I understand what ballast is now. Oh, you know, I can make a simple linkage. Oh, this makes sense to me now, right?
Yeah, but how much does a 3D printer cost?
Cheap.
Oh my, well, we talked about this at Subfest. This was super interesting. And I think it was Bob that mentioned this. Almost every major city has at least one and likely multiple maker spaces where you have free access to 3D printers, and not only 3D printers, but experts in 3D printing. So you could come with your file and they would be able to say, holy cow, that's the coolest thing ever. Let's print this thing up for you.
You can get 3D
Yeah,
printers
but for
now
$100.
very cheap.
Yep.
For $100.
There you go.
No, you got the Type 23 and it's not that hard to put together.
No, exactly. You know, for the price of a whole hull, you could buy, you know, a $500 printer is pretty mainstream. That's a pretty solid printer.
There's a $300 printer right there that can print everything that we do. That's what I design all mine and print all mine with.
There you
I could buy
go.
3 submarines for that.
What's that?
I could buy 3 model submarines.
Yeah, but you could print off 50 and you could modify them the way you want. It opens up the door for you.
Yep. And we touched on this before, you know, this next generation is completely comfortable with 3D CAD. They grow up, it's a class they're taking in high school.
Well, that's fine, but I'm like I say, you're not going to get high school kids to do this. I did robotics at high school. Out of 3 high schools, we couldn't get 15 people to come.
Well, yeah.
You can always order from us and we'll fiberglass it up for you.
I'm talking about building them for US robotics.
Seems to be a lot of kids on BattleBots.
Yeah, if you want to build something, tear it up. Well, here's the build it. I'll give you a hammer. Go smash.
Right, but still you're incorporating electronics and, you know, all this stuff into a robot.
Let's build some true RC sub underwater warfare submarines, and then now we'll start getting people.
Already did that.
Well, something about Subfest with Tom coming. I've started building my, and David knows, building my Marlin that I got from Skip. I got that from Skip probably around 2000, 2001. It sat in the box for about 10 years. I started building it on RC groups, and Tom started following me. He introduced me to David. And so I've known Tom for 10 years without ever meeting him. And we met for the first time at Subfest.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was great. It felt like a high school reunion with him, and found out that I'm 1 year and 1 day older than him. So, you know, it was just a great thing to come to.
Well, think about how weird it is for me. You know, I deal with, you know, hundreds of people a year, but, you know, it's all through email. I never talk to them. I never hear them. I never see them. But to have the opportunity to interact with them at a show like that, to put a face with a name is just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Unless he's a stalker.
You're the exception. I wish I had never met you in person.
Same thing here.
I can concur. Yeah, it was nice to meet. I've sent out so many orders of people that you guys, I apologize if any of the orders are wrong. But
it's all Jason's fault.
It's all my fault. I'm sorry, but it was nice to see you guys' faces in person for anybody that went to Subfest.
Same here.
Well, I know I really appreciated how Tom and David, and the rest of the guys treated and interacted like with Nathan. A lot of times,
he's a rock star.
He's a
He
rock
was
star.
nothing but trouble.
He was a rock star.
A lot of times
You,
kids are
Dave,
just
he was a
pushed
rock star.
aside
That
and
kid went in
ignored.
there and took over everything.
And you guys didn't do that with him. I really appreciate that because you made him feel like part of the group. You made him, it helps him to be more inquisitive,
We love that kid.
and want to do more with it, you know, as a result.
Well,
That- that-
apparently
that-
this
that-
kid was brought up right.
That
Yes,
this
he
is
was.
true,
Yes, he was.
and honestly, this is not us pandering to him. This is us responding to him. He's the one who's reaching out and asking intelligent questions. He's the one driving the boats like he's been doing it for 20 years. This is all on him. And
I
this,
had to fight my transmitter away from this kid. What is he, 90 pounds?
That kid's a rock star. Suck it, Dave.
So anyhow, to the point, you know, he reaped the fruits of his own efforts at Subfest. That this was just a group of individuals treating him like they would treat any other 30 or 40 or 50-year-old because he is mature enough
Absolutely.
to handle it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, I appreciate it.
Sharing his winnings.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to do something about that raffle thing. The fix was in.
That was the second time in a row, man. I don't know. It can't
Well,
last.
he cleaned up.
I
He's
said,
gonna
I
go
told him
too.
before we even went,
He's
I
gonna
said,
go
now,
for
you
a
know,
3-peat.
you probably won't win a thing this year.
No.
He's gonna
Just so
open
you
up.
know,
He's gonna
don't get
open up his own
disappointed.
competing hobby store with everything he's won from me.
Yeah, gee whiz.
Yeah,
So next year we got to see a skipjack come from him.
Exactly.
Better have
Yeah.
something in the water.
or a couple.
Bring your own model next time.
Then he's gonna win best of show and get some extra raffle stuff.
Yeah, well, we're banning him from the competitions
We
now.
created a monster. Oh, we chased him out of the room.
No, he put together that little Seaview model he bought.
Oh, look at that.
Ah,
I had to introduce him to Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, so I bought the first season on Amazon Prime. And
Get the movie. Get the movie.
anyway,
Hey, bring it up to the camera, kid. Come on.
Yeah, we have to critique you. Got to
Yeah.
take you down a couple pegs.
he
Yeah.
wants to put an LED in the nose of it still, so he didn't do a bad job.
No.
There you go.
There's
Yeah.
the little red
Looks
light.
good. It looks good from 1,500 miles away.
Looks fine. Good job.
So,
good job, Nathan.
but he
That's
never knew
being
what
on- be
Seaview
all
was
good.
until then, you know.
Get the movie, not the TV series.
Okay.
What's wrong with you? You bring up
I
that
didn't
kid
know there
wrong.
was a movie. All I remembered was the series when I was growing up. So
Get the movie.
The movie doesn't have the flying sub though.
Oh, the flights. Fine.
I don't know if it's in the first season. I haven't seen it yet.
It wasn't in
No,
the first
second
season.
season.
Those were black and white.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got home from Subfest and we did it in 2 nights, but my girlfriend sat with me and watched Das Boot.
Oh, that's
The whole
hardcore.
thing?
Huh?
The whole thing?
The whole thing, 4 hours.
Oof. Wow.
Director's
That is-
cut.
That's a keeper right there.
Ooh.
We also did Band of Brothers and the Pacific. That was last year.
Wow.
So I'm training her right.
Wow.
Renee will sit through the occasional movie, but she usually wants it mainstream, and it helps if Gerard Butler's in it.
Ugh. Chick flicks.
Yeah.
Hunter Killer.
Ugh.
That's
Yeah.
Das Boot, same in English as in German. Not boot. That's wrong. Das Boot.
I did not know that. I learned something today. Thank you. I would have called it Das Boot.
Same in English as in German. The second vowel always takes the long.
Wow. That's too much to learn today.
In German, not always in English.
Das Boot. It actually doesn't sound as cool.
No, if it's das Boot in German, to be das Stiefel.
Hmm.
No. Same as in English.
Very cool. All right. Hey, I'm gonna tap out here pretty quick. I got my wife coming back from her dinner date, which is the reason I was late today, because I had to drop her off because Uber couldn't find us way out here in the sticks of North Naples. But just a quick update for everyone. I'm still shooting for like a mid-November grand reopening, and I'm still aiming to have the new line of cylinders available for ordering at that time. I have also reached out to R&R Engineering to help me in the meantime plug up the hole for smaller cylinders. So I think he's got a 70 millimeter cylinder that I'll be offering shortly. That'll
Ron
just
does
allow,
good work.
he does, and honestly, you know, it'll help all of those people with these plastic kits for conversions, because I know that it's a cost-effective way to get into the hobby. So we'll start to be able to offer the starter kits again soon. Excited about that. Overall, I'm just super excited. This feels kind of like a reset for me. I have a new shop. Jason's going to be helping me out with some cylinder turnkey cylinders.
I'll have all your cylinders available for you for the next few months. So,
oh, that you have to be careful what you promise on here, because this is being recorded. So
I know. I'm just saying. I'm hopeful that I have your next cylinders available for the next few months.
yes,
Hopeful.
exactly.
Hey, what's the word
Hopeful.
on Beck's models?
Vex,
Beck.
the radio.
No,
Oh,
the
Bex.
guy out of the UK.
I have not heard anything from Matt for like forever. That's a super good question. I have no idea. I haven't actually sold any kits, so I haven't reached out for orders. But usually we kind of kept in touch fairly consistently, but I haven't heard anything from him. I'll have to reach out to him and see if he's doing okay.
Still in lockdown over there.
Yeah, I mean, he should still hang out with us. We're cool people. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, that's the scoop. Bear with me another few weeks and we'll be back up and running. I'll have all sorts of updates so you guys can see the new shop. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be way more efficient space for me. It'll allow easier production, manufacturing and inventory control. And
Yes.
actually, as an outfall from Subfest, I was actually offered a free ERM software, a high grade enterprise resource management software for my company from one of the attendees. I'm not going to give away who it was or what the software is, but for those of you who don't know, if you've never been in like big enterprise, this is like $50,000 software packages that you usually pay about $1,000 or $1,500 a month, like licensing fee for, and it was offered for free. So I'm super excited because it's going to encompass inventory control, customer control, shipping control, all of these things that'll help the Drydocks become more efficient and just a better company for everyone. So awesome things on the horizon. Couldn't have done it without all of you. Excited that everybody showed up for DiveTribe. Thanks. Short notice. Pent up demand. I'm glad I waited that long.
We're just holding out for that big video of yours.
I know. I'm excited to start editing it. And actually, all of that video is you guys. You took the time and effort to put it together. I'm just going to edit it down to something digestible.
Okay.
Awesome. Any last words, comments, questions, updates?
And Bob's gonna try to give me everything I can do to move to Texas. So
I'm trying to convince him, but he has something against Texas. I don't know. He's gonna
We'll
be
see.
he's gonna be
We'll
coming
see.
staying. He's gonna be coming staying in my house for a couple of weeks while we get the shop set up and we do training on the new cylinder. So
We'll see what happens. We'll go
I've,
from
hi-
there.
I've hired the Dallas cheerleaders to come cater for us. Maybe that'll help.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Might be a hard sell for your fiance.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, with that, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna shut her down. This was a good chat. We went almost 2 hours. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody have an awesome time. I'll schedule the next DiveTribe on the website as per usual, so we know what's coming up.
Great. Thank you.
All right. You bet. See you, everyone. It was good seeing you
Later.
again.
Later,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks.
Later.
Bye.